They actually got that yesterday, I believe. Today, actually, is when he got it. Are memes allowed in DKC? Yes, they are encouraged, as a matter of fact. Please, meme away. I'm going to be talking about memes a lot. Giving nicknames and stuff, so we're going to roll into DKC 1 here really soon. Like I said, time is going to start on the first input on the one-player screen. And they're off. Good luck to both racers, and get comfy, chat, because we're going to be here for about 2 hours. So coming into 1-1 here, they're both going to be performing a double extendo after swapping to Diddy and killing Donkey as fast as they can. Extendoing is pretty much just extending your roll speed by building up speed through rolling in enemies that are in a tasty single file line. Your speed is capped after 4 enemies, so yeah. This is, I'm assuming this is going to be a pretty close race. It looks like we need to sync up a little bit here. But coming into 1-2, we're going to see the first instance of a bonus warp. We're going to be entering a bonus in these trees here, and then it's going to shoot us out further in the level. We do this one more time in World 5. In Elevator Antics, I'll point it out when it happens. Each of them save only a couple of seconds, but it's a lot easier than playing the rest of the level. Well, extendo is done there. When you see them sort of roll, and then the roll is like sort of paused, and they roll some more, that's an extendo. Or an extended roll, if you want to call it. Coming into the first, I guess, difficult stage. Stu throwing the barrel, right there. DNA, you saw sort of manipulate the camera so that all the enemies are in a line and you can roll through them. It's a lot faster. We're going to see some crawl space zips here, which is pretty much rolling and jumping through a crawl space so that you can skip the animation of Diddy crawling. It's a lot slower. You can do that when you hold the down button. Coming into the first water level, Coral Capers. The thing about the water levels that you want to do to save time is cut the corners as best as you can. So as you can see, they sort of have visual cues where they're going to not explicitly avoid bonking any of the corners. That's going to help them lose momentum. They don't want to do that. Both of them getting the fast acceleration. The Swordfish is on guard, or as we call him in the community, Eduardo. So with that little bonk there, oh, and taking damage, Stu is pulled out to a little bit of a lead. And they're going to time their lunges specifically, so that they're going to gain a little bit more momentum by rubbing up against the corners of the corals there. So Stu is pulled ahead just a little bit. Second, I need to open this little tab here. Okay, that's alright. So, we missed a little bit about this level, but this level can feel like a bit of a snoozer, but it's actually quite, it can be a little stressful, especially if you miss that extendo that Stu just did, rolling through all those Kremlings. It means you have to go through the barrel maze, and we get to avoid all that stuff by just flying over it. Do that exploit, and Stu getting out of there. Coming to the first boss fight, this is very naughty. The strat is pretty much, excuse me, the strat's pretty much is you're going to want to jump on him as soon as he starts his descent from his jumps. Can help the fight speed up a lot faster. 342 and a 345, respectively, for our runners, Stu and DNA. Coming into 2-1, Winky's Walkway. We get to see a nice little extendo there, rolling through a whole lot of guys. By timing, repressing the Y button in between, you can really get a lot of speed there. It's a really satisfying level to pull off well. Maybe about 3 seconds separate our runners for now. Minecart Carnage here, we're going to avoid taking the minecart, because it's really slow, so we're going to take this warp barrel instead. both of them successfully avoiding the minecart, getting out of the level. Coming into Bouncy Bonanza, which is really the first, I think, hard real test of your skills of the game. There's a lot of tire rolls, there's a lot of bees, timing, crawl spaces, and stuff. It's a good wall for a lot of early runners. Both of them nailing the crawl space zips. Stu skipping the bee. DNA skipping the bee. Good job, fellas. Stu opting out of spooky jump. Same with DNA. You can skip that tire there, but it's a very, very tight window. Both of them just rolling their way out of here. So in this level, we're going to avoid everything as usual. Just turn back where we came from. It's going to shoot us out at this part. We're going to follow a very specific set of movements in order to avoid getting damaged by that guy that Stu and DNA just rolled through. And we're finished. Coming up to the first instance of a super jump, which is storing a jump by watching Donkey Kong fly way up onto the top of the screen there, as demonstrated. And then swapping back and jumping on an enemy, holding the B button is going to give you this extended jump, as long as you're holding the B button. And it's going to hit you into this Donkey exclusive warp barrel. This can be done by simply opening a little secret and bringing a tire across the gap, but this is much faster. So here's the first real instance of RNG in the game. Oh, Stu taking damage there, unfortunately. You need Donkey for the next level. But this is Neki. The RNG is whether he's going to get a high spawn or a low spawn. Low spawns are a lot faster, so we always hope for those. 635 for Stu. Oh, he has 639 for DNA. Very, very solid starts for the runners here. Coming into 3-1, you're going to see on DNA's stream why it's optimal to keep Donkey. Because there's an exclusive warp that is only available to him that you just saw appear suddenly and magically by Stu. So there's a little bit of time that DNA gained on him. And these quick shots here are a very, very tight window. 3-2, we're going to avoid the whole level again by jumping on the bird there and bouncing off a tire that's way off screen. We get a Forest Frenzy. The first instance of a super jump roll. Combination of a super jump and a jump roll is the best way that I can put it. I've explained what a super jump is. Jump roll I'll explain a little bit later, but we need to see what's going on in the stream here. So both of them opting, I believe they're both going to go for it, because they kept the Kremling alive. Stu just gets a super jump, so we'll see what happens in DNA stream. He also gets a super jump. So now I have some time to explain what's going on here. So they both executed a super jump that I explained in Millstone Mayhem a little bit earlier. They're basically just going to fly through this entire level here and not deal with any of those birds. Just fly over everything. As long as they're holding the B button, they're gaining height. Eventually you can wrap yourself around into Death Zone, I believe. And then you're going to let go at a strategic point. They've already long let go by now. And then it's timing it so that they can just roll through those guys. So there it is. Coming into Temple Tempest. This is a very satisfying level to pull off. There's actually a new trick that was recently discovered. Doesn't look like Stu's going to be going for it, though. Neither is DNA. I'm surprised, unless he's going to use a different DK barrel. Oh, he is, right. It's not coming up yet. So there's some more extendos being shown off there. Skipping the ropes. Yeah, I think he is avoiding it. I'm surprised. I'm going to show it off. I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit. There is a double extendo here that Stu's going to be going for. That saves a lot of time. Look at that. Oh, this is it. Both of them getting it. DNA is babying out, unfortunately. But that's okay. They're both on very, very good runs here, and although it's not really going to matter at this point how close they are, because later on we're going to play the frame game, But for now, there's another freight we need to worry about, and you'll notice Stu's going back. They're both going back, actually, to where they came from. To World 1. We're going to be performing what's called the map warp, which is an input on a frame-perfect corner. Perfect, right there. Stu got it first try. DNA, second try, not too bad. So what happened is they used the map warp to warp themselves into the end of the next level after Temple Tempest, Orangutan Gang. And, that's the end of that. Coming into Coral Capers here. Not Coral Capers, my goodness. This is Clam City. Clam Chowder, as we like to call it. This is one of the harder water levels, only because you only get one Eduardo box. So you only get one chance to, you know, not lose the fish. Because if the fish goes too far off screen, he's going to despawn. You don't want that to happen. There's another example of the corner boost there. By starting your lunge at a strategic point to gain a lot of speed, a lot of acceleration. They're both finishing up. Coming into Bumblebee Rumble, where we're going to be fighting Queen Bee. This boss is cycle-based. You're going to hit her, and she's going to go up and down a bunch, and then she's going to flash, and you're going to hit her again. You're going to do that 3 or 4 times. I believe it's 4. And as long as you just follow the same movements that these two guys are doing, she's always going to be in the same spot you need her to be in. And you can just slam the barrel in her face. Like that. Bam. Stu finishing with a sub 1130, very good. This DNA, 1135. About 6 seconds apart with our runners here. Good starts for both of them. Coming into Ice Physics, where your rolls don't matter. So jumping is the main way you're going to be gaining acceleration in these levels. Stu getting the Joe roll, which is a gap roll there, and the Zera extendo. I missed if DNA got it. DNA opting out of the extendo. It could be a little spooky. Here we're going to see ledge boost. Good, holding the tin can. You're going to fly across all of these vultures. Both runners getting it. Good. That's tilting do if you miss it. Stu rolling through 3 birds en route to the next auto barrel, and then we're just going to avoid this entire barrel maze here. A little shortcut. There's DNA. Hot on his trail. Getting the G. Stu exiting. Stu uses IL splits. DNA used to. Slip slide ride now. There's some out of bounds stuff we're going to be doing here. There's a barrel actually over to the left. You can reach as Donkey if you just swap and jump up, but this is faster and cooler. The thing about this climb right here is that the red ropes will actually pull you down. So this jumping has to be very precise. DNA having an easy time with it. This is another snow level. This is it's not Ice Age Alley, Snow Barrel Blast. We just call it Bird. So the gimmick in this level, for speedrunning anyway, is that you really don't want to lose the bird. It makes this level a lot faster. Almost so fast that you'd rather not take halfway just so you can grab the bird again in the beginning. But look at all these ropes that we have to wait for, all those barrels and the tires. You don't want to deal with that. You just want to fly over all your problems. Both of these runners doing just that. There's cues, we know when to stop flapping and things like that. Just a comfy ride. Speaking of comfy, we're into the longest level in the game, Scroctopus Chase. What makes this so long is the fact that you do not get on guard until the end. So far in the end that it's not worth getting. So we're just going to sit here and we're going to listen to aquatic ambience. As I said earlier in Coral Capers, the main way to save time in these water levels is to cut the corners. Take him as hard as you can. So every time you bonk, you can lose frames to seconds, and it absolutely kills your momentum. You don't want to do that. Stu taking that corner pretty well. It's DNA bonking right there. That was an instance. You see that quick little left-right wiggle there that he did. Good job. And this is essentially just, you know, an opportunity to try to beat Aquatic Ambience. There's 2 cycles of pianos, because the song repeats itself. This level is so long. And we want to beat the 2nd cycle of pianos. We call that pianoless. A few runners have gotten it before, but it's basically a perfect execution of this water level. So let's just sit back and enjoy the track. Shoutouts to David Wise, by the way. Who have all gotten pianoless? Off the top of my head, KBZ has it. Sweet Mind has it. I'm sure Easen's got it. Bathlow, I'm sure, has it. Void, probably. Stu's coming out of every water level's Coral Capers from now on. It's coming out of Croctopus Chase into where the game really ramps up. This is Torchlight Trouble, executing a lot of gap rolls, barrel boosts, tight rolls off of the oil drums, abusing hitboxes and stuff like that. The game wants you to take Squawks the Parrot, which holds the torchlight, so you can see what you're doing, but causes random lag throughout the level, so we opt not to take it. Ooh, DNA taking damage there, unfortunately, but he's going to get his buddy back right here. Good recovery. Coming into the next level is Rope Bridge Rumble, or another super jump roll attempt. This one saves so much time. Well, not so much, but enough that it's worth going for. So here we're going to do a setup. Diddy's going to fly off screen. Take some damage, and Stu gets it. So right there is a combination of a jump roll and a super jump roll. Just like a super jump, you're going to release B at a certain time in order to start your descent. And as long as you're holding the B button, you're ascending, going up. DNA also gets it. Good job, fellas. See the first frame? Coming on to the run back of Neki. This time he jumps higher. Abusing hitboxes here, we're going to jump up into the left corner and try to get him right at the peak of his jump as he's starting to fall in order to save quite a lot of time. Stu misses the second corner, unfortunately. Let's see what happens on DNA's stream. Gets the first corner. Lands a good hit. Gets a second corner. So coming into the next super jump roll, this is Oil Drum Alley. It's a really good hit on the last one, too. Again, we're going to sacrifice Diddy, get him back. Oh, he's going for damageless. Oh, no, he was a little too early, unfortunately. I guess he doesn't like looking at dots. It's too bad for Stu. Let's see what DNA does. Oh, he avoids rolling through the guy. DNA doesn't like looking at dots either. He just gets a super jump, which means his input was too late, but that's okay. This level's a lot of fun to watch. So I was quite sad, actually, when the super jump roll was found in this level, so as you can see, it's very, very fun to watch. Good Oil Drum Alley is almost like a ballet. This ending, though, is very hard. Don't blink. Very well done by Stu. He made it look easy. DNA getting his buddy back. I guess he's going to be going for the super jump roll in Elevator Antics. Also good execution by DNA. Good job. Coming. By the way, you blinked. You missed Trick Track Trek. Which is a 10-second IL abusing developer warps. So yeah, Stu's going for the snake, which is what we call the super jump roll in this level, elevator antics. Damage, and he misses it. Unfortunately, it was a little too early. So this is another instance of a bonus warp that I explained earlier. DNA not going for it. I guess he's just gonna play the level normally. So he's gonna gain a little bit of time on Stu because he didn't set up taking damage and getting Diddy back. So this is another level where we're going to be manipulating the camera so that the elevators spawn in a certain way where we can just jump up and down without even thinking. There's a DNA stream coming back. Stu's setting up the elevator skip here through camera manipulation. Good job. Defeating the Kaizo bird. DNA skipping an elevator, and rolling through Kaizo Bird. Good job, fellas. So here, we're in the final water level in the game. This is Poison Pond. Same gimmick as the other ones, you know, stab with your fish. Make sure that you're getting a lot of momentum and not touching the corners. So, this water level sucks to lose the fish in, because if he goes too far off screen, like I said earlier, he's going to despawn. And this level has a lot of long horizontal passages, so it's easy for him to just despawn. Stu's setting up triple mincer clip. 1, 2, 3, good job. Especially right here, if you take damage, the fish is just gone, like as soon as you get hit. It's DNA. 1, 2, 3, good job. So Stu coming into another jump roll we might see. I'm sure he's going to go for it. But first he's going to set up a glitch. We're going to roll through the air. There he goes. So doing this glitch saves 4 seconds over just taking the minecart. Stu looked like he was a little bit too early there. Fortunately. Get the jump roll. DNA is setting up. Also a little bit too early, but that's okay. So as I said, rolling through the air right there is going to save the save about 4 seconds over using the minecarts. But I think on the jump roll, it's another 2 or 3, I think 4 seconds. And there's the level. So this level is Blackout Basement. The lights, they think it's funny to turn the lights on and off on us in this game, and I don't appreciate that personally, but these guys are going to make this level look really easy. Because as long as your movement is exactly the same, it's pretty easy, I guess, but I always struggled with it, personally. But as long as your movement's the same, you know exactly where all the platforms are, the timing's going to be fine. You could probably do it blindfolded, to be honest. But we're not going to see any blindfolded runs today. You're going to want to tune into Katoon for that. There you go. And coming into the boss Dumb Drum fight. Pretty straightforward. He's going to slam on the ground. He's going to shoot a pair of enemies at you. He's going to do that a few times. At some point, you're going to want to switch to Donkey Kong, because he can kill the last 2 enemies a lot faster than Diddy. There's Stu. A little bit of slap sliding for us. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're coming up to Frame World, guys. Both of these runners, I believe, will go for Creme Tut. So Tut we call, it's the acronym for Tanked Up Trouble, which is this level. There's 2 instances of a jump roll. Oh, DNA taking damage there, unfortunately. But that's okay. Still beat the world, so... So as I was saying, this level is basically an auto-scroller. It's a very, very long auto-scroller, so we're going to try to milk a couple jump rolls out of here. There's 2 of them that we can go for. There's Creme Tut and there's Bird Tut. Creme Tut, we execute a jump roll off of a Gremling. Bird Tut, we do it off of a bird. Both of them save well over 30 seconds. Creme Tut's about 50. Bird Tut's about 40. So, we're coming up to the first opportunity here. Stu's stream on the left. Frame perfect Y input. Oh, he's not going for it. Opting to just do Bird Tut instead. So pay attention on Stu's stream. A little too early, unfortunately. Checking in on DNA. Also opting not to go for it. But that's okay. Very, very hard trick. There's a lot of movement you have to do afterwards to avoid the bees. There's DNA, unfortunately, not getting it. Both of the runners were a little too early. You can tell whether you're too early or too late by what Diddy does. So if Diddy were to just bounce off of the bird or bounce off of the Gremling, he'd just do a little bounce, a little jump in the air, and then if he was too early, like we saw both of these runners do here, they're just going to roll through them. If they were to take damage, that means that their setup was bad. But both of them were unfortunately a little bit too early. Yeah, it's just a very long auto-scroller, as you can see, so it's unfortunate we weren't able to get a jump roll. The next opportunity at 1 is the last level here in this world, which is Platform Perils. We'll see that later. So there's Stu finishing up Tut. Coming into Manic Mincers. Here we're going to be abusing the Rhino. So Ramby. Saw him briefly in World 1. Saw his box anyway, but we're not going to deal with him back then anyway. But now we're going to basically just abuse what happens when you take damage with him. You can just skip a cycle of mincers. Rhino's very hard to control. So on Stu's screen here, he's going to set it up. Good job. Giving him the Yoshi treatment. It's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Shouldn't have had input lag. Otherwise, it might be useful. Use DNA. He does a different setup. He opts to just kill the Rhino there. So here in Misty Mine, we're going to see, hopefully, an execution of the newest tech found, the Super Free Roll. Where we're going to super jump up, we're going to grab a rope, float our way down, and then roll through some enemies. The game is just going to feed us 2, 3, 4 whole idiots. Stu is making this level look like a joke. Here's DNA setting it up. Super jump, float down, and roll through a bunch of idiots. 2, 3, 4 idiots. Here we go. Stu just finishing up. Into Loopy Lights, another level where they thought it'd be funny to keep the lights off. As long as you just turn up the brightness on your TV, you can see everything. But we're strong, independent speedrunners. We don't need no light, so we're just gonna roll through because we know where everything is. DNA hot on his trail here. This is a very, very close race of DKC 1. Coming into DKC 2 should still stay close, as both of these two are very, very, very top runners. Stu actually had the world record at one point once the Castle Crush skip was found. Or Castle Crush Wrong Warp, I should say. He had it very briefly, but definitely a guy that came out of the bushes, out of nowhere, and just exposed all of us. Truly, truly a degenerate for the people. Coming into the final level, this is Platform Perils, another opportunity at a jump roll. DNA jumping through some bees. Here's Stu setting up for another jump roll. And was a little too late. So, we're gonna get to see some really tight platforming. Stu screen. DNA could maybe catch up a little bit if he nails Perils. He's the king of backups here, though, so maybe he's gonna get it another way. He gets it. Good job, DNA. So that's a jump roll. It's a frame-perfect Y input. Oh, Stu, no! Taking damage, falling down to the rubble below, giving DNA a good lead. Hopefully sustainable all the way to the end of DKC 1. Yeah, hate to see that happen, unfortunately. So as I said, this is a very, very hard level. You know, you don't really want to deal with the stuff that Stu's dealing with, which is why we really try hard for the jump roll. The Platform Perils Infinite is absolutely possible. So here's the run back for Neki. Same concept, he's got some RNG in him. As long as he's a bottom spawn, we're happy. He's going to keep shooting his nuts at you. DNA is setting up the optimal strat, which is damaging on the first hit, but still taking damage so that you're solo donkey to save some lag at the end. And because his fanfare is a lot shorter than Diddy's, it's actually more optimal to do this. Finish the game as solo donkey. It's very poetic. So, DNA coming into the final boss fight. This is K. Rool. Slam. Look for him and smash ultimate. So, DNA is Maniac, going for these crownless hits. One way that we could really speed up this fight is make sure that we're jumping on him the absolute second that he's vulnerable, which is when he takes his crown off. It's very, very tight. So you hit him 3 times, he's going to run across, and then going to shoot some cannonballs at you. DNA taking the opportunity to do some slap slides for us. Definitely appreciated. That's right, all 3 Donkey Kong Country games for the Super Nintendo for 2 hours, in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Probably less, actually. And Stu took damage there somehow. Missed it. DNA keeping Donkey. The game is actually very hard to learn, but with the proper resources like this wiki here, you too could be a Donkey Kong Country speedrunner. I'll take some time in between the runs, I guess, to plug the wiki, but for now we're on fake credits on DNA stream. Not quite GG, nope. We're getting debated here, chat. Both of these runners, very, very good showing in this game. Let's do on fake credits, DNA, showing K. Rool how it's done. I'm not sure if this is going to 33, maybe. No, it's not, unfortunately. 34:03. Pausing the timer. Nice run, DNA. Very, very solid time, especially for a race. Showing why he's one of the top runners. So DNA taking a very early lead in these games, in this Trilogy race. As he's swapping now to DKC2, as is Stu with a 34:19. Very nice run for both of them. Yeah, unfortunately, he was just 10 seconds off a world record, which is 34:13. So both of them firing up. DKC 2. So, in this game, we're going to be foregoing the extendos, and we're going to be introducing rung warps. So, the first two worlds in this game are pretty much auto-scrollers. Not auto-scrollers, but rung warps and just warps. They're going to be finishing in roughly 5 minutes to the meet, which is World 3. So here's the first instance of a rung warp on Stu's stream here. Looks like Stu's ahead here. I'm going to switch the audio back. DNA is in the lead, but in the race, but Stu is... This is actually going to be really hard, because when they pause their timers... Yeah, when they pause their timers, it's going to be really inaccurate to say who's in the lead, but I guess we'll just, I'll just commentate as it goes. We missed a wrong warp, but on Stu's stream here, we're going to be seeing a very tight trick called Luckjaw. Yeah, getting to that warp barrel. DNA is also going to be going for it. We call it Luckjaw because it really feels like luck. Yeah, they paused their timer when they switched. So it's, yeah. Oh, Stu dropping the snake. So he's not going to be able to perform the top sail wrong warp, but DNA is. It's DNA doing the wrong warp. Clashing beetles, getting invisible objects, which manipulates the exit IDs, and it just spits you out of the level. So the first boss fight is also the single-handed biggest source of RNG in the run. This is Crow. So the first 2 eggs she drops on you are always going to be real, but then this is where the RNG starts. She can drop fake eggs all day if she wants. Stu getting a fake. Getting a fake, and looks like it was just a fake for Stu. 1 fake for DNA. Good job. I think it's a she. I mean, she lays eggs. I don't know. I need the lore. So here's another instance of a wrong warp. So I'm getting told from the administrators here that we're going to be doing a bit of a resync. So the left stream is going to freeze for a little bit. Hang on. Here's DNA doing team throw double jump, or as we call it, the big boy. Making use of those developer-intended warps. Mid to Lava Lagoon on DNA's side here. Alright, now the timer should be fairly synced. So DNA is in a pretty strong lead. Thank you, Speed Gaming, for sorting that out. Much appreciated. This is the only time where we have to actually hear the fanfare. DNA in quite the lead, actually, coming into this portion of the race. Still about an hour and a half, though, so I hope you're all comfy and you have a snack. I sure have a glass of water here. So the second boss is another minor source of RNG. This is Cleaver. It's a giant sword. We're not sure if Cleaver is the name of the sword, or if Cleaver is... Well, I'm a little behind here. Or if Cleaver is the guy holding the sword. I don't know. So here's Cleaver. A little ahead of myself here. Runners are about a level behind. Or Stu is about a level behind here. Basically, we're going to want to hit Cleaver with the cannonballs. And jump on these hooks, and then we're going to be performing what's called Lava Fly, which is avoiding a cycle here. Well, not avoiding it, but just making the cycle start on the other side. That's where the cannonball spawns. We're gonna bait him here, and then we're gonna hit him. We need to bait him because if we just threw the cannonball at him and he started swinging at us, it actually soft locks the game, where you can't get to the other side because the hooks don't spawn. There's DNA. Making a fool out of Cleaver. Stu also nailing Lava Fly. Coming out of World 2. And with a slight lead. So this is where the platforming really begins. This is World 3, Prem Key. So while we have some platforming going on here, I guess I'll explain what's happening. There's a lot going on, so it's kind of hard to commentate the first couple of worlds of DKC 2. This game abuses wrong warps, which is essentially just manipulating the exit IDs of barrels and other properties of the game. That's just going to kick you out of the level. The next one we're going to see is in Crackhead. We call it Crackhead, but it's called Crackhead Clamber. It's one of the more unconventional ones, because we're using a cutlass actually, not a barrel and a bonus barrel like we did in the first couple worlds. DNA coming out of 3-1 into the first real water level in the game. This is Glimmers. Same with DKC 1, we're going to be trying to cut the corners as best as we can this level, while maintaining as much momentum as possible. So, this little fish here is Glimmers. It's going to light the way, but just like in Torchlight Trouble, we don't really need him. We know where everything is. Stu hot on DNA's trail. I can imagine gap closing quite soon, just because of sheer movement. Stu is a little bit. He's kind of good at this game. Like I said, he had world record at one point. DNA has always been an elite runner, also consistently top 10. Showing people how Glimmers is done. Oh, it takes a little bonk there. As I explained, you bonk and you lose all your momentum, which is unfortunate. DNA is... sorry, not DNA. Stu's a bit of a psycho. He's avoiding taking the first couple of DK barrels because they cause a few frames of lag. He's going to be grabbing the last one here. DNA is going to be setting up the Kipple swap. Don't blink. Very tight window. Makes it look easy. So here's Crackhead Clamber, or Crackhead. A wrong warp was discovered about a year and a bit ago, which killed this level, which is unfortunate because it's one of my favorites. But, DNA is just rolling through some bad guys, rolling across some gaps, and we're going to be abusing cutlasses. A cutlass, I should say. Again, don't blink. We're just going to manipulate his animation. And, yeah. See ya, Crackhead. We're going to Rattle Battle. So Rattle Battle is the first instance of the snake. Well, I shouldn't say the first, the second instance of the snake, technically. We get to be the snake and use his jumping prowess to move left and right, which does not make sense. This level is notorious for having really misunderstood hitboxes. As long as you just stick to the script, you should get out of the level fine. Bouncing on very specific enemies to preserve your momentum. This level is just awkward, really, because we're using, as I alluded to earlier, we're using a character whose abilities are jumping very high, vertical movement, but we're using him to move left and right, which is very awkward. Yeah, I hope you like green. We got a lot of green in this level. Oh, DNA taking a little bit of damage there. Oh no! Bonking his head on one of those barrels. He must have dropped an input or something. That gives Stu a little bit of a lead. Dying and taking damage in this level is very awkward, very tilting. So, Stu's finishing by performing a goal swap on the target, which is going to skip the fanfare, coming into another wrong warp, which is Slime Climb. Widely regarded as black magic. We're going to swap in the water here, and then we're going to take damage up the top of these ropes, which is going to shoot us upwards, grab onto these ropes here. And then we're going to manipulate character IDs using the camera. Use a beetle to create an invisible object. And throw it at a very specific location, facing left here, and get kicked out of the level. There's DNA also going for it. So this level that Stu is on, at DNA getting it, it's called Bramble Blast. You have about 3 frames to get shot out of the barrel while it's still facing the same direction it was when you entered it. We call those quick shots. There's quite a few to do. Stu opting out of a few here. Yes, this is the song of our childhood. This is Sticker Bush Symphony. But the meat of this level is actually near the end, where we're going to be performing Vine Clip, using a team-up double jump, team-up throw, as we saw in 2-1, or 2-2 rather. And clip through a vine, navigating this barrel maze. Dna opting for the quick shots, so he's taking damage and setting it up. Stu getting Vine Clip, good job. Easiest trick in the game. DNA also getting Vine Clip. Coming into the third boss, which is Cudgel. Cudgel is a very long boss fight, very cycle-based and drawn out. The only way we can make it faster is hitting him as soon as he's vulnerable, which involves setting it up in a way so that you're picking up the barrel there, counting Dixie's bobs as she's breathing, and moving out of the way. So yeah, common misconception is actually it's not Sticker Brush Symphony, it's Sticker Bush. There is no such thing as a sticker brush. So yeah, common misconception. So each of these quick hits saves a few frames. It adds up to about 2 seconds over the fight. Both of them executing them pretty well. I wasn't aware that DNA learned them. I don't do them personally because I have seconds to save elsewhere. Waste my time with this. Stu's almost done. I believe he has just 1 more hit. Maybe 2 more. Yeah, you're gonna want to be you're gonna want to be in the air when Cudgel lands, because if you're on the ground when he lands, you're going to get paralyzed, and he's going to jump on you, and it sucks. And Stu finishing up World 3. So this is where the game really ramps up. World 4 is full of bees and honey and wrong warps. The main gimmick in these levels is honey climbing, which is very tricky. It's gonna make it look easy. So is DNA. DNA opting out of both Dustpan Jump and Diddy Hornet. Diddy Hornet is doing the level as Diddy as opposed to Dixie, which is the old way of doing it. It saves about 2 seconds, I believe. It saves very little amount of time. But some runners just opt to take damage off that spiny there, and yeah, I just talked over a pretty big glitch there, unfortunately. So this is what we call the scrolly scroll, which happens when the game thinks you're on the spider and on the hook at the same time, so it unlocks the camera and scrolls it to the right. We're gonna take advantage of that and just avoid all of this, climb up some honey. This is definitely what a fast-paced blink and you miss it kind of level. Stu having some problems here at the end of Hornet Hole. World 4 is impossible. So this is an auto-scroller. If you're thirsty, if you're hungry, now's the time. You got about a minute and a bit. This is Target Terror, where the gimmick is you want to Hit the plus barrels to open, or sorry, the check mark barrels to open the gate so you don't bonk your head on them. And yeah, there's not really a whole lot we can do to speed this up. Your speed is tied to the minecart. Fortunately, we call it a minecart. To the coaster, I guess. So jumping up and down will not affect your momentum. There are a couple flitters that we can skip, which we will be exploiting. The second one saves a lot more than the first one. But this track is a banger, so it's not too bad. You could save a little bit more time by jumping off the cart as early as possible. But it feels really bad when you miss the cart. So Stu just demonstrated one of the flitter skips. Dna also getting it. There's also something at the end that we like to call swag balloon. There's an invisible balloon above a minus barrel. That is a very, very tight jump. And you got a free life if you get it, but if you fail it, you lose a Kong. So it's a very risk-reward kind of thing. Some people are on Team Swag, some people are not. There's another flitter skip from Stu. I'm personally not on Team Swag. Stu not going for it. I don't blame him. As he's coming into another wrong warp. This is one of the harder wrong warps in the game. Dna getting it. Thank you, Dna. This is the Bramble Scramble wrong warp. We're only going to hear our childhood song for a little bit. But we're going to use the beetle again. Get an invisible object. Like I said, don't blink. Stu getting the invisible object. Manipulating the IDs. And wrong warping. Dna using the corner to set it up a little bit easier. Getting out of the level. Good job. Coming into the next auto-scroller, World 4. And in the game, this is Rickety Race. The gimmick is that we have to go fast to beat all these racers. Already got the DK coin at the end, but we can't be bothered with the DK coin. It's slow. But we're going to get it anyway. So we can actually make this a little bit faster by exploiting what the runners did at the beginning, where they went backwards to get a huge speed boost. That's intended, but you can actually save a little bit of time by jumping down large slopes, as demonstrated there. It preserves your momentum, but you don't want to jump up the slopes because it actually kills it. You need to be holding right and Y the whole time. Stu finishing off the number 2 guy. And there's the number 1 guy. You get your reward, the DK coin. And jump 4 more times, and he's done. Coming into another incredibly technical level, Mudhole Marsh, which is incredible. This Mudhole Marsh is pretty much the whole package of DKC2. Very tight platforming, a lot of really cool strats, culminating with a wrong warp. So, Stu rolling through some guys. Rolling under the world. Very swaggy. A lot easier than it looks too. Dna hot on his trail. Little gap roll there. Making his way through the eagle pit. Good job. He's going to roll under midway here. Dna also making his way through the eagle pit. So here Stu is going to be manipulating. Oh no, you kind of mess up the movement a little bit. But here is going to be using that cannonball to manipulate the IDs of these beetles to wrong warp out of the level using the cannon. So clashing to get an invisible object. And Stu's out of there. Dna is out of there. Oh, Dna died, unfortunately. I blinked. I don't know what happened. Wasn't paying attention. So here is Ramby Rumble. We're going to be using a team throw double jump to get to this hook and skip the entire right part of the level. Using the honey. Little super jump there. We're going to transform into the rhino. Yeah, I cursed it. My bad. It's alright. Oh, Eagle pit before halfway. Unfortunate. Oh, he died twice. No. Well, here's DNA attempting the wrong warp. Like I said, manipulating the IDs, using the invisible object. He's out of there. So here's Stu finishing up Ramby Rumble. There's a giant bee chasing you, but we're faster than the bee. Coming into the bride of Queen Bee in DKC. The bride, excuse me, the husband of the Queen Bee. DKC 1. This is King Zing. DKC 2. We're gonna try to hit him on the stinger. Bride. What's the matter with me? Queen Bee is the bride. Anyway, his stinger's flashing and we're going to want to hit him. He becomes invulnerable for a little bit. Stu opted not to go for 2-cycle. You can actually, oh, is that a death to death jump? Classic, fortunately. He's dropping some frames here, it's kind of hard to keep up with him. Stu finishing up King Zing. Opted not to take midway, so that's unfortunately going to lose him a lot of time. We're having a little bit of issues here on DNA stream, hopefully it's going to get sorted out soon. So, Stu making his way through 5-1. 5-1 is a very comfortable world because it's got a lot of really cool platforming. And it's got easily one of the hardest levels in the game in Web Woods. Something really entertaining in PCP, Parachute Panic. See what's going on here. Stu just making his way through 5-1. DNA still showing off his slideshow from his vacation to Crocodile Island. Stu just rolling through the forest. Oh, now he's going really fast. Stu's setting up to get a plink, or to skip the fanfare. Oh, looks like DNA is back now. He's on the boss fight. Took some damage, unfortunately. So, this is, we call it Tupac's Library. I actually forget what the level's called now. Haunted Hall. So, the gimmick is that we got this ghost guy here, Tupac, following us. And we need to beat him to the gates or else he's going to show us his mixtape. This is actually the level that, in an any percent run anyway, that really showcases the difference between the Japanese and the US version release of this game. In that there's one more B in the US version, which most of our players are on. So in this level, it's actually faster to jump up and down all of the slopes. There's a route that we use, that we use to know when to do a big jump, when to do a little jump. So to follow that route, you're going to save a lot of time. Route. Tricky. So here's Stu jumping over the UBs. Usually there's just one there if you're on the Japanese version. DNA is taking a roll through 5-1. Again, exploiting jumping up and down these slopes to preserve your momentum, and jumping right at the top of the gates there, which also preserves your momentum. It's pronounced route, thank you. Stu coming out of the library into Gusty Glade, the next level, which introduces the wind gimmick, pushing you and pulling you, with very tight rolling and platforming. DNA, just at the beginning of the library. Stu rolling on these pillars, very tight, making it look easy. So you have to time your rolls and your jumps to use the wind to your advantage. We're actually going to be using that a team throw into a barrel to skip a win cycle, and sets up a goal swap at the end, which will skip fanfare. DNA now just coming up on halfway through Toolbox Library. Here's the team throw, skipping the win cycle. Stu taking his safe, I don't blame him. And there's the goal swap. And coming into Parachute Panic, or PCP. The game wants us to take these purple birds all the way down. We don't have time for that, so we're just going to skip them. And do everything we can to just avoid the parrots, avoid the bees, flutter where we can. Don't blink. Again, you're going to miss it. Oh, midpoint parrot. Shame. Excellent 1D from Stu. DNA hot on his trail, coming into Gusty Glade. That was my cat. So Stu's coming into Webwoods now, which is really the... it's about halfway through the run, I guess. Really want to think about it. At least time-wise for these two. Coming into World 6, I guess, would be halfway through. So this is widely regarded as one of the hardest levels in the game, because we're going to be using Squidder's instant platforms and damage boosting. Very, very tight execution, so let's see how Stu does. Timing his web shots to kill enemies that are off screen, using the instant platforms. Coming up on halfway as DNA skips the win cycle in Gusty Glade. Stu does up in 3. It's a little bit safer. You can do up in 2. Saves a little bit of time. Takes those pillars a little bit safely too. It's you can get off your momentum off your game there. Just, DNA is coming into PCP. Excellent execution on the Eagle Pit. And Stu setting up 2, 3, 4 to the Leap of Faith. Very good. Very good Webwoods from Stu, as expected. His DNA is coming up on halfway soon in Parachute Panic. Oh no, this is the 1D section. What am I talking about? So here's another big source of RNG in Stu's screen. This is Crow 2. She's back and she's mad and she's dead, but we're going to make her more dead. RNG in this level is whether or not the game is going to give you a spawn that's in the middle, on the left, or on the right for the second phase. And the second phase is really the big one. We want a right spawn, so drop your prey emotes. I want to see some prey emotes in here for a right spawn for Stu. And he gets it! Excellent. DNA is hot on his trail in Webwoods. And a left spawn for Stu there. DNA's coming up on halfway. Stu's coming into World 6 soon, which is he's going to showcase the newest wrong warp that was found, Castle Crush. DNA is putting a clinic on in here. Arctic Abyss is the showcase of DKC 2-Fish on guard. They nerfed him, unfortunately. DNA taking a safe Eagle Pit there. They nerfed the fish in this game. He's not nearly as overpowered as he was in DKC 1. But the good news is that we can just mash and time it very well to cut the corners just like any other water level. And charge our dashes and stuff. DNA coming out of Webwoods, good job. Let's drop some prey emotes for him so that he gets a right spawn. Stu making this level look incredibly easy. So Stu here is going to be swapping Kongs in the water. And skipping the fanfare here. But he's going to be doing some off-camera manipulation. Oh, DNA took a little bit of damage there, so he's going to get Diddy back. But he's going to be doing some off-camera stuff here in this level. So don't blink. Using a team throw double jump. Coming off screen. And there we go. DNA gets a middle spawn, which is about average. You just don't want a left spawn, pretty much. So the gimmick in the level that Stu's on, Windy Well, the wind pushes you up. So you gotta ride the wind, man. Like, whoa. And there's Stu. Just making it look really easy. It's a lot harder than that, I promise. DNA gets out of Crow 2. Come into Arctic Abyss. Like, whoa. And yes, we do get to properly hear Mining Melancholy. One of my favorite tracks in the game. Very ambient. Here's Stu setting up the Ghetto Bees. Oh, he takes damage, unfortunately, which means he's going to have to go back to Arctic Abyss to get Diddy back, because you need 2 monkeys to perform the Castle Crush Wrong Warp. We call it the Ghetto Bee Skip. It's actually, its full name is the Ghetto Bee Skip, but it's commonly referred to as the Ghetto Bees, where you're just skipping 2 of the bees by using the wind. DNA is going to gain a little bit of time on him because he has to go back to Arctic to get Diddy back. He's coming up. Oh, he unfortunately doesn't get the glitch where it's going to shoot you down, or at least you're going to fall with the current. But Stu is now in Castle Crush, which is the newest Wrong Warp. So, like most Wrong Warps, we're going to be using an invisible object that we're going to use. We're going to clash this DK barrel here against the wall. Time and damage boost. Time getting into this barrel where we're going to die and spawn Rhino in the same frame, and there we go. DNA must have DNA getting the opening part of Windy Well very well. Stu now coming into Clapper's Cavern. One of my favorite levels, actually. Where you jump on the seal to freeze the water so you can run on it. DNA coming up on halfway. Windy Well. And the fish makes a little cameo appearance here. Unfortunate. Takes a little damage, lose a little bit of time, but that's okay. I'll swap in the water here because it saves time. As rolling in this part, we need Diddy for to set up what we call throwing your girlfriend. Unfortunately, it looks like DNA has to do the DNA had to do an off strat there. As Stu is rolling through the end of Clapper's Cavern into the final Wrong Warp in the game, Chainlink Chamber, or CLC. DNA getting Ghetto Bees. This is one of the trickier Wrong Warps. Using a clobber to get an invisible object. Clobber are the guys in the barrels. There's a lot going on here. These races are pretty hard to commentate sometimes. Sorry, everyone. So Stu's going to bait the clobber, get an invisible object, spawn the cannon that's behind that hooker there. Just get out of the level. So DNA is coming into Castle Crush, or Castle Crush, I should say. Stu's coming into Toxic Tower. Still a pretty close race, despite being quite a few levels apart. Bleak, one of the bosses in World 5, is really going to be the big equalizer. There's another frame perfect trick. And DNA gets the Wrong Warp. Stu's exploiting what the snake was actually designed for, which is vertical movement. As he makes that look stupidly easy, turning into the bird to this part. One of the bosses in DKC 3, World 5, I should say. DNA is having a swim in Clapper's Cavern. Using a little bit of a moonwalk there, I guess moon flap, shooting in eggs, manipulates the camera so that Stu can delay spawning that bee. Stu going under the bee, shoutouts to an old Japanese runner named Riz. 2, 3 for Stu. Good job. DNA through his girlfriend successfully. Looks like he's gonna have to jump very tightly. Oh, he made it. Good job. Coming to CLC is DNA. Finishing up World 6 is Stu. We get debated here. Unfortunately, they're going to show us DK and they're going to take him away. Coming into one of the also very hardest levels in the game, in Screech's Sprint. We're going to be skipping the main gimmick of this, though, which is the race. We're going to hear sounds of our childhood just a little bit more as DNA is finishing up CLC, hopefully. Excellent. Oh, did he throw right? He threw right. Oh, commentator's curse. I'm so sorry, DNA. So, what's happening on DNA stream is a very big inconvenience. So, DNA threw right. He was facing right when he threw, so he's in this state, or he's going to be in this state for a little while. If you just kind of let go of everything, eventually the game is going to kick you out, but this is very annoying for DNA. As Stu is making his way through Screech's Sprint. But at least we get to see this interesting take on the wrong warp. Any second now he's going to get kicked out, hopefully. Stu skipping the B ring there. Yeah, there we go. DNA getting kicked out of the level. So like I said, you mainly want to be throwing facing left. Throw the invisible object. DNA can't be too happy right now as Stu finishes up Screech's Sprint, coming to the final boss fight, DKC2. This is King K. Rool, or I'm sorry, this is Captain K. Rool. Another sort of underwhelming final boss fight in the sense that it's just cycle-based, where he shoots some cannonballs at you and then he starts sucking in air from his blunderbuss, and you throw the cannonball into the blunderbuss as he's sucking in. Blows up in his face. Repeat. One of the ways that we can really speed up this boss fight is what we call dustless hits. As the blunderbuss is sucking in air, dust particles are spawned. Basically, you want to be able to throw the cannonball before any dust particles spawn. We call that dustless. Absolute maniacal hits. Or throws, I should say. DNA is taking it safe near the end of Toxic Tower, turning into the spider. My cat's being very needy right now. A little distracted. There's Stu, spawning a cannonball. Not quite dustless, but still a very good hit. Or throw, I should say. And once again, it's going to shoot some cannonballs at us, so we have to dodge them. So DNA is entering Screech's Sprint. Grabbing Dixie for safety, I don't blame him. We're going to perform a moonwalk there to roll through that. Cat of Nine Tails. As Stu took damage, unfortunately, so he's solo Dixie through the final phase of K. Rool. What if he's going to swap? Yeah, he is. Probably because he's more familiar with Diddy. So here we're going to avoid the blue clouds. Each of these clouds have an effect on your Kong. They don't kill you, but blue clouds freeze you. The red clouds turn you really slow, and the purple clouds reverse your controls. DNA getting the skip there, B-ring, Stu avoiding the red clouds, cherry-flavored clouds. There's blue raspberry, there's cherry, and there's grape. The one you least want is grape-flavored monkeys. That's really intimidating. But he's just going to use a visual cue on the ground and just jump between all three of these. DNA in the boss fight. So if Stu were to lose, or Stu were to die, DNA will take a lead, but I don't see that happening. This part is very easy. You're just holding right, or holding left and running. Okay, Rool is sucking in with his blunderbuss. Barrel, grabbing the ball, I should say. making the final hit. One more avoidance, and it's a nice run for Stu and DKC2. Pausing his timer, getting ready for DKC3, so I'm assuming I'll use this opportunity to alert Speed Gaming that there's going to have to be another sync shortly after. But, so, nice run to Stu. I wasn't sure what the time was, but it was a very, very good run. So, DKC3 is a lot like DKC2, only there's a lot more overworld movement and variables in there. And we forego wrong warps. It's just straight platforming and real serious monkey business. In World 5, actually, there's a really big trick called Bleak Skip, which could really actually equalize these two runners, because it's a frame-perfect trick that you just... It's really tricky. I don't know what Stu's doing there, but just like in DKC2, we're going to be using the developer-intended warp barrels at the beginning of the levels in the first two worlds, with our boss fights in there. So this game is going to be a little bit longer than DKC2. There's a lot more to it, I find. It introduces Kiddy Kong, who just rolls, jumps on water. DNA making some hits on K. Rool. Stu's just going through DKC3. Like I said, there's not really a whole much going on. Wow. There's not really a whole lot going on in the first two worlds here. Just some little platforming into where the warp barrels are. The first boss in DKC3 is Belcha. He's very well known for having a soft lock in the North American version. Oh, I should mention that Bleak Skip only works in the Japanese version, which is, as I said earlier, it's a frame-perfect trick done during the death jingle. DNA showing off purple monkeys. He's a maniac. Really making it entertaining for us. I appreciate it. He should know, though, or I'm sure he knows, that Dixie doesn't run as fast as Diddy, so you can't just hold left and run. You have to actually spawn him a little further away. Play a little bit safe. DNA setting up the final hit. Almost dustless, just a few frames there. As DNA finishes up DKC2, good job. They'll be switching games shortly too. So I'd like to remind Speed Gaming that we will be needing a sync shortly. These two get their stuff together. So here's Belcha. If you were to do that strat on the North American version or release of the game, his teeth would come flying out, and it's really quite funny, and you would be soft locked. So Stu finishing up World 1, coming into World 2. In 2-1 actually is the furthest you go into the level to find the developer-intended warp. DNA's file name there indicative of what we're in for. He's taking time to put in the color code. So in the beginning of the game on the file select screen, you can input a code which will change the color of your monkeys from pink to purple and blue to green, respectively, for Dixie and Kitty. So both of these runners are playing on the Japanese version. There's a few differences between the version. I keep saying version, the releases. Versions are a different thing that we don't need to talk about right now. In some of the differences between the North American release and the Japanese release is the Chaos boss fight, which is the boss of, well, depending on how you look at it, World 3 or World 4. In the speedrun, we're going to be going to Mechanos first, which in the casual playthrough is the fourth world you would go to. You would go to Cotton Top Cove first. Stu's frozen. Oh, they're syncing up, right? Just as I reminded them. Thank you, Speed Gaming. Shout out to Speed Gaming for putting on this marathon and for technically making sure everything is sound. So DNA, like I said, he's just not manipulating, he's using the developer-intended warps. So now we are synced up. A few missed leak skips here, and this race could definitely change. So this is the last developer-intended warp barrel before we come into Eric, the spider. This is a very, very tricky boss fight. It's hard to nail, but it's scripted. Definitely a wall for new runners. Oh, sorry, that wasn't the last one. I completely forgot about this one. Goodness me. Sorry, everyone. Talking straight for an hour has got me a little bit mushy in the brain. So here's Eric the spider. It's got a barrel on top of him, but we're going to be using visual cues in the air to throw the barrel in certain spots or skip cycles. Stu is making us all, us casual gamers when we were kids playing this, look really stupid right now. His DNA is in the Belcha boss fight, so they're about a world apart right now. What looks to be about 2 minutes, I guess. 2 and a bit. So we get, this is part of the trading items quest. We get a patch from beating Eric. We're going to bring that patch back to Funky. Funky's going to use that patch to build us another boat. And we're going to use that boat to get to the next part of the island. Which, according to the lore, this is called the Northern Cremisphere. Yeah, so here we're going to be going to Mechanos, World 3/World 4. This is where the platforming really begins. So this game is a lot slower paced than DKC 2 and DKC 1, as you'll notice. It's more execution heavy. The gimmick with this game, from me anyway, personally, is that this game is pretty easy to pick up, but it's a really big pain in the butt to optimize because there's so much subtle movement things, like what Stu's doing there, the climb. He made it look easy, but there's a lot of really technical inputs there that make that possible. Stu getting that jump too, which is an incredibly tight window. He was practicing that earlier on stream. Good job to him for getting that. As DNA is in Alalagasharai. Stu's going to be taking a damage boost right here in order to skip part of the level on the left. Damage boosting is quite common in this game. It's used to skip a lot of portions of the levels. This game is pretty known for starting off really slow as well, because after 5 minutes of developer-intended warps, we get one really cool platforming level followed by 2 auto-scrollers. So the first, 10 or so minutes of the game it's really, really tough to sit through, and you really hate to reset at that point. So you, when you're grinding this game at a top level, the first 3 worlds are really quite mind-numbing. DNA now in the Eric boss fight. Also making it look easy. Reminder that DNA did execute the color cheat code, which turns Kitty and Dixie different colors. Neat little thing to show off. I'm glad he showed it off. DNA really thinking of the fans. So he gets his patch. He's going to go back to Funky. He is going to get his hovercraft to go over rocks. And Stu's out of the first auto-scroller. The second auto-scroller is called... It is technically a cheat code. Don't at me. So this is the second auto-scroller. This is called Ripsaw Rage, or as we like to call it, Saw Your Tree. This is, as I said, it's an auto-scroller, so we're going to avoid killing We're going to avoid killing enemies if we can, because that's actually going to lag the game out a little bit. So we're going to save the animals, I guess. You guys have seen enough Super Metroid to know what saving the animals is, I'm sure. There is actually, in the completion category of this game, 103%. We executed a glitch right there called Zipsaw, which is going to involve a team throw, and it zips us up to a part of the level, our bonuses, but it has no use in any percent, so we avoid doing it. I guess you missed the explanation earlier, but the J version of this game has quite a few more glitches that are exploitable in the 90% run compared to the North American release. The North American release is really, really buggy. A lot of really, really inconvenient glitches. But interestingly, the 103 version, the 103 category, completion category, is done on the North American release. Mainly because of the Chaos boss fight. And because you don't actually get a percentage for doing Bleak Skip. So DNA coming into the first auto-scroller here. He's catching up to Stu. Or he's keeping pace anyway. He's not making too many mistakes to give Stu any more of an opportunity. That's a very good question. Why would you saw a tree this way? Who knows? Who knows? So, Stu finishing up the auto-scroller there. Truthfully, it's been such a long time since I played the North American release that I don't remember what this level is called. Blazing Bazookas? No. Yeah, Blazing Bazookas. I can't read Japanese, so unfortunately I don't know really what it's called, but this level is pretty straightforward. We're just using the ropes and jumping on guys. Stu got ahead during Mudhole, and he also got ahead during CLC. Yeah, it's important to note that Stu is actually avoiding picking up Kitty because in this game, compared to DKC2 and DKC3, the barrels here wait until both Kongs are in them before they start, before you're able to shoot out of them. And because of lag reasons, we try to avoid being two monkeys during this world, especially during the auto-scrollers. DNA must have taken damage somewhere. He's Kitty Kong. I'm sure he'll just damage boost to be a solo monkey again. So this level is called Logi Labyrinth. Again, because there's little to no gravity, so your jumps are extended and you move a lot slower than usual. Stu executing what we call a just defend, which is doing a very tight wiggle as you're rolling into one of those crimps. So you can kill it by rolling into it and get a little bit of a speed boost. It's a very tight window that we don't really see a lot of people go for unless you're really confident in them. So this is Quawks, not Squawks. His name is Quawks. He can't actually shoot eggs. What he can do is he can pick up barrels, which is really useful in this game anyway. So here Stu is going to line up the talons here so that he can just squeeze right in between these two bees. I'll have to worry about anything. And gets Vine Clip. We call this Vine Clip as a tribute to DKC2 because it's the last hard trick in World 3. But very good execution so far from Stu. It's DNA's sawing his tree almost to the end. Kind of messes up the ending cycle there, but that's okay. So, coming into the Chaos boss fight, or the Tin Can as we call him. Yeah, there's DNA doing that damage boost in order to finish the level as a solo Kong. So, really pay attention to what Stu's doing here. I can't explain it in time, so just watch and be amazed. Just making this boss look ridiculous. Oh, he's going to be going for a 2-1 jump strat. Really exciting. Oh, he misses it. It's unfortunate, but he still gets the damage boost. So, what happened there? That's really, really tough to explain what happened there in such a short amount of time, but he exploited Kitty's rolling on the ground to be able to jump on him and damage Chaos a lot earlier than you're intended to, and then positioning yourself in a way where blades are going to spawn on the side that you are on, so that you can save a lot of time there. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. So Stu finishing up the Chaos boss fight. We're going to get a ski out of this, and same with World 2 is that we're going to take it back to Funky, but we need 2 skis, so we're going to go to World 3/4, Cotton Top Cove, and we're going to get the other ski. So, coming into World Cotton Top Cove, we have the first water level of the game, Baz's Blockade. The difference, there's not really much difference in water physics between the 3 games, as you've probably noticed by now. The same concept applies where you want to cut the corners as best as you can by preserving your momentum and not bonking or anything like that. It's also a very underrated track in the trilogy. The water level songs are pretty good. DNA is becoming the purple bird. Stu squeezing in there. Timing himself to the spawns of the Bazes. I guess they're barracudas. I don't know why they'd be called Bazes. I'd have called them berries. DNA also getting Vine Clip. Still a few levels behind Stu. Stu taking the time to wait for the cycle to swap Kongs, because you'd rather be Kitty going into this world, or this level here. Which is, this isn't barrel drop downs, this is, just tracker barrel? Rocket barrel ride? No. Yeah, rocket barrel ride. So we're going to be using a lot of team-up jumps and damage boosts. DNA is entering the Chaos boss fight. Executing it pretty well. Setting up for the same side blades. Stu is taking his first damage boost to skip the cycle there. DNA getting the second hit. Good job. That's clear. That's really the hardest hit, was that one right there. Opting for the damage boost strat, not going for the 2-1 jump. And the rest of it's pretty straightforward, as Stu is just rolling through this level. So we're going to be taking another damage boost shortly here. And just going to keep rolling and jumping, avoiding the bees. DNA is avoiding the lasers from the tin can. Here we're going to do a team up to skip up that part on the right. Followed by avoiding a damage boost there, so we can damage boost here instead. The B placement actually differs on the North American release as opposed to the Japanese release, so the routes change a little bit depending on which release you play. Stu is currently in the lead, left. This level is very fast-paced. Basically, you want to stay out of the water, except for one part, which you'll be seeing shortly. I definitely don't remember what this one's called either. I'm been playing the J version a little bit too long. Someone in chat could probably help me. DNA is swimming through Baz's Blockade. One thing to note is that DNA is not going to have to swap monkeys because he's already kitty after doing the damage boost strat there. Stu rolling through the kaboings, no, not kaboings, I forget what they're called. In order to get so far ahead of the fish. So if you're in the water, the fish is just going to bite you right away. Stu's coming into Tracker Barrel Trek. The gimmick in this one is that when you enter the barrels and get shot out of them, the barrels are going to follow you. But as with the other waterfall level, we're going to be abusing damage boosts and some really tight skips. Barrel skips, as we'll see right here. Good job from Stu. His DNA is just finishing up the water level. Stu almost jumping into the Ellie barrel there, which I've done way too many times because it really blends into the background. Stu just rolling and jumping, setting up for another damage boost that's going to be happening later. Stu is currently ahead on the left. This final damage boost. Fly across there, avoiding the DK coin. And taking a damage boost. Stu's now coming into the next water level, which is Fish Food Frenzy, or as we call Feed Your Fish. The gimmick here is that you're given a pet Tamagotchi there on the left. Fish, you gotta feed him in order to keep him alive. If he gets hungry, he's gonna change colors, and if he turns red, well, he's gonna bite you. You don't want that. Sometimes this level could be really annoying because the fish can just sometimes go off screen and play with another fish, well, quote unquote, play with another fish. But he just goes off screen and just kind of glitches out and stands in front of the fish trying to eat it, not quite in the right position, and it can be really annoying when that happens. Because when you're so far ahead and the fish finally catches up to you, chances are he hasn't eaten, so he's just gonna bite you. Do come up to halfway. DNA, I'm not sure if the stream is down. Yeah, it looks like we're doing a little bit of a sync here, maybe. Oh no, DNA is in slideshow mode again, unfortunately. As he's in... I still don't remember what this level is called. But yeah, as you can see, Stu almost got bit there with the fish turning purple. Worthy to note, you wanted to eat the other fish, not the porcupine fish. Oh, that was really close. Stu finishing up, coming into the boss fight. This is Squirt. We call him Derp Face. He's just a face in the wall, but he's got the other ski we need to get what Funky's gonna give us. So, unfortunately, we need to be the elephant, suck up some water, and shoot him in the eyes. DNA's now entering Tracker Barrel Trek. Important to note, actually, King K. Rool, Captain K. Rool, it's not the final boss in this game, no. This final boss is Baron K. Rulenstein, mad scientist. Stu's just avoiding being shot by the water. This is actually the only boss in the trilogy that won't damage you directly. It can only push you off the edge. Yes, DNA will have an opportunity to catch up at the boss fight in World 5. It's a frame-perfect trick we use to skip it. So, another world will have a chance to DNA... Wow, good English. DNA will have a chance in World 5 to catch up. As Stu just finishes up World 4/3, getting the skis, bring him back to Funky in order to get his next invention. The Turbo Ski. Of course, Stu getting some bad deaths will also put DNA... We'll also cut the distance between DNA and Stu. Yes, words are hard, sorry. So, moving up to the northern part of the northern hemisphere, we have World 5. This is actually one of the more fun levels. I like it a lot. So Stu being very bold and skipping that DK barrel. It's important to note that we want to be Dixie in this level because Dixie actually jumps a lot faster off horizontal ropes than Kitty does, as you can see. Kitty would have just gotten tangled up. That's no good. DNA is feeding his fish diligently, like a good Tamagotchi owner. Stu is jumping up some ropes here. Closer to the end than we are to the beginning here, folks. Stu's going to take a damage boost here, and as you can see, it's quite a bit faster for to be just Dixie in that stage. She jumps up ropes a lot quicker. So this is another auto-scroller. Tearaway Toboggan. Not really a whole lot going on here that's worth noting. Basically, the only way we can really speed it up is to try to avoid not jumping on the houses. There is one that we do have to jump on. DNA fed his fish successfully, so he's going to be coming into squirt. So, like I said, this is the only boss fight in the trilogy where the boss can't directly damage you. It's a bit underwhelming. There's one thing that, you know, these games are really, really good, and they're critically acclaimed. But the one thing that I always hear people knock on them for is their boss battles. They're just so underwhelming. I guess that's the main gripe that people have about this trilogy, but otherwise it's just some good old-fashioned rolling some monkeys. Each of these games have their own little gimmick. It's easily exploitable. As Stu is coming into Barrel Drop Bounce. Another really fun waterfall level. Where these barrels are coming down the falls and you need to jump on them very precisely by timing it very well. We're also going to be using team throws to skip parts of the levels. So DNA gets his skis, he's taking it to Funky to get his new vehicle. Stu doing the waterfall skip. Very, very well done. Widely regarded as one of the hardest tricks in the game. DNA keeping up, at least staying in the same world. This is the level that Stu's on now, is basically DKC 3 version of the level that we saw in DKC 2 with the spider, Web Woods. This is Crackshot Croc, or Web Industries, Web Factory, or as it's more affectionately known as Purple Strawberry Milkshake Factory, mainly because of those pits of strawberry milkshake that are actually not tasty at all. So one of the differences also between the spiders in DKC 2 and DKC 3, the main one, to speedrunners anyway, is that your instant platforms are adjusted very slightly. You have to wait one frame in between your left and right trigger inputs in order to make it. While a casual player will note that the spider can actually jump on enemies in this game, where he couldn't in DKC 2. So we're going to be manipulating what Kongs we have by taking strategic damage boosts. Another difference between DKC 2 and DKC 3 when you're the animal buddies is that your Kongs will rotate in and out as you take damage, whereas in DKC 2 they will not. So Stu finishing with the optimal monkey and Tulengun lunge, coming into the final level before the big one. This is almost it, folks. Yes, the Purple Strawberry Milkshake Factory. It's canon, look it up. So this is Lemguin Lunge. I mentioned earlier about Rattle Battle having some very interesting hitboxes. This one also has some very interesting hitboxes. It's basically a battle of hitbox versus hurtbox. And the Lemguins have very interesting both of those. But as long as you want to be solo Dixie through this stage as well, because being two monkeys will cause a lot of lag and throw your movement off. DNA taking a little bit of damage there, unfortunately, but he's almost done with Tearaway Toboggan. The next, oh, that was a little spooky from Stu. Performing the glide at the end. Shout outs to a very old runner named Morks. So this is the boss fight that I was telling you about. Frame perfect pause input during the death jingle. Let's see what happens, folks. So you're gonna want to hit him right there to set up where you need to be, and it's a frame perfect start input. Did he get it? No, he didn't. It was too late, unfortunately. I don't have audio, so I can't tell. But yes, I need a lot of prayer emotes for my boy Stu here. But this is where DNA can really catch up, depending on how swift Stu is. Looks like that wasn't it either. All of this is time that DNA is making up right now. Performing the waterfall skip right there. So this is try number 3 for Stu. Not getting it, unfortunately. I think DNA is having some stream issues now. Coming on time 4. For attempt number 4. Like I said, this is all time that DNA is making up. So, oh, it looks like he's just gonna fight him casually. Probably the best strat. No, you don't wanna waste too much time. I guess Stu is really concerned about winning the race. So I'm not entirely sure where DNA is. His stream's frozen for me. But if DNA were to get first try bleak skip, that's a lot of time he's gonna make up on Stu. At least a minute and a half, probably. Still waiting on DNA here. Oh, DNA's stream is down entirely. This is unfortunate. It looks like DNA is having some internet issues. Let's all drop some more prayer emotes for my boy DNA and his internet. As Stu finishes up with World 5, coming into World 6, which is my least favorite level, to be honest, but some people really like it. I'm not a fan of this level. The gimmick is that you're the purple parrot, and yeah, you'll see. So, looks like we got DNA back, and it looks like not too much has happened. He's still keeping up pace in Limwood Lunge. Like I said, if DNA were to get first try bleak skip, that's a lot of time he's going to make up on Stu. But it looks like he's still a little bit out of sync. His timer is a little bit ahead of Stu, so we might need another sync from our admins, our loyal adults. Maybe a little Dutch internet. So, the gimmick in this level is that you're going to be damage boosting a lot as the parrot. And squeezing in between these bees. Setting up optimal Kong loaders. That was not an intentional damage boost from Stu. That's going to mess up his Kong loader a little bit. It's a good analogy, Krypton. Thank you. That was an intentional damage boost. So, DNA coming into bleak skip, or bleak boss fight. Let's see how he does. And, of course, he gets it first try. Excellent, excellent job. So that was literally a frame-perfect input during the death jingle. It's going to set up... that sets up a glitch, which lets you just skip the boss fight entirely, so... Look at that. They're now just a level apart. So this is another auto-scroller. This is, I'm not entirely sure what the name of the actual level is. It's not Crisscross Cliffs. Something Cliffs, though. Someone in chat's gonna have to help me out. But we call this level Burn Your Rope. It's a very long auto-scroller. Akin to Tanked Up Trouble, akin to You know, Castle Crush before the Realm Warp existed. Burn Your Rope is what we call it. Kong Fuse Cliffs. Thank you, and NCOS. So, runners of DKC3 will generally use this time as downtime to give an update on the run that they're having. So I'm sure Stu is giving his loyal fans a Burn Your Rope update. DNA will be shortly, just as soon as he's done clipping through these bees right here. Taking a damage boost. Setting up the Kong order correctly. I'm not sure that was intentional. Not entirely sure what the route's like these days. Having a little problem squeezing through that bee there, but looks like he's the right Kong. Ideally, you want to enter Burn Your Rope as Solo Dixie. Yes, I'm the worst commentator in the world. I'm so sorry, everyone. My excuse is that these games are played in Japanese, or this game anyway is, and it's been a very long time since I've played the North American release, so I don't quite remember the names. I'm sorry. But if you're interested in learning what the names are, you should click this link right here, which leads to the wiki. It's a community-run, community-driven website where it hosts all optimal, safe strats videos for all three games. If you're interested in becoming a runner, or if you're interested in learning the speed games, or if you just want to get in touch with the community, you should check out the wiki at dkcspeedruns.com. It has a link to the Discord. Come in, say hello, ask any questions you'd like. We're very inviting and very welcome. It's also home to our leaderboards, so if you're curious on where you stack up, go ahead and go there. Stu finishing up Burn Your Rope, coming into Floodlit Fish. So Floodlit Fish is a lot like Arctic Abyss in this. It's like a combination of Arctic and Glimmers in the sense that you're playing in the dark and you're the fish. The fish in this game is nearly invincible. Nearly invincible. As long as you're stabbing like that, nothing's really going to damage you. It's another showcase of interesting hitboxes. Yes, actually, DNA got his first try bleak skip while Stu attempted it 4 times. Didn't get it and opted to do the fight normally. So there was almost 2 to 3 minutes of a difference between Stu and DNA, and now DNA is caught up by quite a lot. There's about a minute difference right now. Maybe a little bit more. Stu just stabbing his way through these clams. The spinning Kremlings in this game, yeah, the copters, they're fun. You can jump on their heads and get propelled upwards at some levels. So Stu finishing up. As DNA is spelling out his true title, OG. So Stu is now performing the bird skip. The game wants you to be the green parrot, Squawks. But it's just about a second faster in the Japanese release to be about a second faster in Japanese, and 2 to 3 seconds faster due to enemy placement in the North American release. This level is basically a showcase of all the animal buddies and their talents. Go in the water for a little bit. We're going to be the game wants us to be the elephant, and then the game wants us to be the spider later. But we're just going to be the fish. Stu opts to swap in the water because it saves time over swapping on land. Doing a little bit of a camera manip there to avoid taking damage off those bombs. The task does go off the rope, or off camera using the rope. It's very tricky. Not sure anybody's done it at RTA yet. So Stu getting a second try on the 2-1 jump there. A 2-1 jump... Oh, we're getting Hwang boost. A 2-1 jump is the culmination of pressing the B pressing the A button 1 frame after pressing the B button, and then pressing the B button again 1 frame after pressing the A button. We call that a 2-1 jump. DKC 2 anyway, but here it's more like a 1-1 jump. But it gives you a little bit more height boost off of a regular jump, and you use that to skip a giant portion of this level. DNA entering Pothole Panic. The Stu is just finishing up that level. No, I believe the enemies are not loaded on the camera at all, or when they're not on camera. So this is Barbos, another large source of RNG, and where those lurchins will spawn. So you gotta use the walls and ricochet the shots off to hit Barbos in the middle. This one, we have a setup where we can just avoid everything, let those missiles just hit the lurchins there. Donkey Kong Land games? No, I do not run the Donkey Kong Land games. Although they are still pretty good. So Stu's going to be exploiting a little trick here to skip some cycles and damage the fish when he can. DNA is coming up onto the level where you do the 2-1 jump. See when he tries, it takes him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another part of the game where you can lose a lot of time. So time is definitely being equalized here in between the bleak skip that Stu didn't get and the 2-1 jump that he got second try. DNA's having a really hard time with this. It's like I said, it's a 1 frame input followed by another 1 frame input. So it's not easy. Stu just made it look easy. As he's entering the final world in this trilogy race. We're almost there, folks. We got about another 10 minutes. And they're going to be really hard 10 minutes. DNA finally gets it. This is conveyor rope clamber or conveyor rope clash. I don't quite remember. But at least I remembered the conveyor rope part. Interesting that they're both on rope levels. So in this level, it's actually faster also to avoid having Kiddy Kong with you because of the lag that he creates and the fact that Dixie is much faster on ropes. We should call it the 6-5 jump, you're right. Oh, the time save is in the double digits. I'm not entirely sure. It's probably closer to, if I had to take a guess, 20 seconds, 15 seconds? So this is literally called RNG caverns, or at least that's what we call it. Those ghost barrels spawn different directions, and it's random as to where their initial spawn is going to be, but usually they're pretty cycle-based clockwise or counterclockwise, so as long as you know where you stand, you should be able to avoid getting shot into a bee. DNA on the Barbos boss fight. Short work of him. As Stu is just having his way with this level. Stu's gonna have to have a monumental collapse in order for DNA to catch up. About 2 levels apart now. Yeah, see, it's that one where it's a little RNG dependent on which way they're gonna spawn. Yeah, see, and that was unfortunate on Stu's part. You have to be really quick. We're gonna abuse a damage boost here again. Finish the level. As Stu's coming into Lightning Lookouts. So the gimmick with this level is that there's lightning in the background that hits you. It is not random. It is dependent on your position. So we're going to be sticking to a very strict, specific pattern of movement in order to dodge the lightning. Sticking to specific damage boosts because the lightning does stop for a short time after you take damage. I believe it's programmed that every third or fourth lightning strike is programmed to hit you, or at least predict where your position is. Stu, I think, is improvising right now. No, actually, he's not improvising. It's compensating. DNA entering RNG caverns. Yeah, no, he's not improvising. He's not supposed to be Kitty there. But he must have taken damage in a spot he didn't intend to. Yeah, Stu is off cycle. I figured. Stu squeezing in between those bees there. It's a little scary, but finishing up the level in good timing. Compensated pretty well and recovered very well. Good job. DNA is making his way through RNG caverns. Stu coming onto Coindozer Clamber. Coindozer Clash or Coindozer Clamber. But these guys are bullies. Because when you're on the same platform as they are, they're going to try to push you off. Just a couple more levels, folks. We're almost finished. Destroying your childhood in 2 hours. Looks like both of these runners are going to be underestimates. I'm not sure about DNA, actually. I didn't check his World 7 enter time. Actually, yeah, he should still... Yeah, both of these runners should still be underestimate. DNA using a pause buffering strat in order to get into the barrel successfully. Stu avoiding the bullies. Taking a little boost there, coming into the last level in the game. The last platforming level, I should say. This is... this level's really hard, because although it looks like a pretty straightforward water level, your controls are reversed. So... Stu is actually holding right now to go left, and holding left to go right. Poisonous Pipeline, I think, is the name of this one. Too many P's. The one saving grace is that we do get to be the fish. DNA is halfway through Lightning Lookout. On cycle, on budget. Avoiding the lightning. Very, very spooky, my goodness. Stu is now back to being monkeys. DNA also compensating, is a little bit off cycle. Let's see how he does. Stu is almost done, coming into the final boss fight. Squeezing in. Oh, no, that's fine though. It's on the final boss fight now. Baron K. Rulenstein. Oh, no, there's... Yeah, Baron K. Rulenstein. About a level apart now. This one is easily the most entertaining and fun boss fight in the entire trilogy, in my opinion. We're going to be seeing the tin can again, and then we're going to manipulate where this barrel is going to spawn by team throwing over him. Then swapping to Dixie right away, because this is where the fun really begins. Yes, it's definitely the hardest boss. In the, well, it's up there as one of the hardest bosses. Not sure I would call it the hardest boss. It's definitely the hardest K. Rool fight. So, coming into the Baron K. Rulenstein fight, we're going to be using switches and hooks to spawn barrels specific ways, avoiding lightning, which is going to come from the ground. DNA coming into poisonous pipeline, I should say. Oh yes, there's a whole nother world. A whole nother. Can you believe it? There was one whole nother world. There's another world, the Lost World, that is used in the completion category and all DK coins. So Stu hitting K. Rool's butt there. He's going to be doing a very, very tight tech here called Task K. Rool. See? tight window here to... Oh, that was really close. So there's a short little window that you can... Oh, no! Oh, man, that was really close. I've never seen somebody get bounced off like that before. But the rest of the fight is pretty straightforward. Stu is almost finished here. 3 more hits. His DNA is almost done on Poisonous Pipeline. Now he's done. 2. And 3. Just need to avoid the lightning, collect the coin, and Stu is done. Nice run, Stu. He just beat all 3 of those games in 2 hours and 3 minutes. Very, very well done. His DNA is just finishing up the tin can fight. And this was a lot closer of a trilogy race than was led to believe. Definitely showing why they're the top runners of these games. Or 2 of the top runners in these games. World record is a 2:01. So it's just a few minutes off. So now we're going to see some credits. The longest credits in the Trilogy 2 are in this game. Yes, Stu does hold the world record. Ever humble. He is in the chat now, by the way, so if you want to hit him with a hot @ Stu _ with a nice run or a GG, feel free to do that. His DNA is just finishing up. Oh, I switched the audio. Oh yeah, they already did that for me. Thank you, Speed Gaming. The DNA is spawning the barrels by pulling switches, floating across everything. Yes, very, very nice race by everybody, both of these runners. He's almost finished here. I think he did task cable. He must have. I'm too busy reading chat, unfortunately. Sorry about that. And he just has 3 more hits. 1. Lever. Uh-oh. Taking it a little safely there. 2. Waiting for the lightning to shoot. 3, and there it is. Very GG to DNA as well. 2:05.47. Which is actually it's a PB for him. His DNA just PB'd in Trilogy, so hit him with an extra special nice run in GG's. He went from a 2:06.38 to a 2:05.47. So PB hype. GG Stu, GG DNA. Excellent job, folks. Good showing of the Donkey Kong Country Trilogy, beaten in just over 2 hours. This was definitely excellent runs. Very glad I was able to commentate this. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. I'd like to get some shoutouts here, I guess. Shoutouts to Speed Gaming for putting on the SNES Superstars Marathon yearly and all the things they do to expose speedrunning communities. Big shoutouts to them. Shoutouts to Stu for giving a very, very good showing, and DNA of very good showing of all 3 games in the trilogy. Extra special shoutouts, I think, to DNA for PBing the trilogy run. It's very, very exciting. And yeah, special shoutouts also to the Donkey Kong Country speedrunning community. If you're looking to get in touch with us, I'm going to post that link one more time in chat, dkcspeedruns.com. It's your central hub for all things Donkey Kong Country speedrunning related. It's got in-depth videos and tutorials for all 3 games, including safe strats, optimal strats, and home of our leaderboards and ways to get in touch with the community by Discord, or our Twitch streams are on there too. We're very inviting, very open, love explaining these things. So come on in, say hello. If you're interested in learning, we're very helpful. So yeah, it's not sure what my prompt is here, but thanks everybody for watching. Definitely an honor to be able to commentate this. Especially on two, like I said earlier, two very, very, high-profile runners and very, very good runners in this game. Between Dna423 and Stu_. Give them a follow on Twitch. They stream all the time. So, be sure to follow them, like and subscribe, donate, all that stuff, the whole shebang. And yeah, it was absolutely a pleasure to commentate. Glad everybody enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. So I think I'm going to try to roll out here and pass it on to the next run, which I believe is Secret of Evermore. We'll have some commentating on whatever that word is for the run up here shortly. Hopefully. Encore, do it again. Gladly. Go to twitch.tv/CanisRollsDeep if you want to see more Trilogy runs. Oh, I'm getting the cue that I can wrap up. So thank you everybody again for watching. Feel free to check out the wiki, check out the Discord, say hello, and all that good stuff. I'm Dustpan. Thanks for watching.